What's up, everyone? Welcome to another edition here at Cyberspace PC. This is your host, Scott, and I'd like to welcome you to today's video, PC versus Console 2020 edition, and the controversial statement why the upcoming consoles are better than your gaming PC. So, before we begin, I'd just like to say that I really don't have a preference. If somebody likes to game on console, if a person likes to game on PC, I'm all for it. I'm all for gaming. It's fun. It's relaxing. It gets your mind off of your stress. And I always say the best gaming device you have is the one you've got. So with that out of the way, let's go ahead and get to it. So, exciting times. We've got consoles about to launch holiday 2020. So that means, logically, that they're going to be coming to us fairly soon. So let's go over the PS5 specs, shall we? I know many of you have already seen this, but it always helps for reference. We've got 32 compute units of RDNA 2.0 at a max boost of 2.23 gigahertz. Now, that's not going to be the typical boost. We're looking at 18 and 1900 megahertz, but it's always nice to have max boost. A Zen 2 base, 8-core, 16-thread CPU under the APU, 16 gigabytes of shared GDDR6 memory, 825 gigabytes of NVMe SSD storage, lightning fast from what we're hearing. So, let's move on to the Xbox Series X specs. 52 CU GPU of RDNA 2.0 at 2.23 gigahertz. So about the same speed, but we get more compute units, and that's going to yield us 12 T-flops, which is a bit more muscle. Same Zen 2 processor of 8 cores, 16 threads, a little bit higher clock speed there at 3.8 gigahertz, up from 3.5, I believe, for the PS5. 16 gigabytes of shared GDDR6 memory, and a bit more custom NVMe storage at 1 terabyte. So looking good for those consoles, to say the least. So what does this all mean? Well, let's compare it to the average gaming PC setup per Steam survey July 2020. So by and large, the most popular graphics card in use is the GTX 1060 with 11% of users. This is the most on the survey. Next up at 8%, people are gaming on the 1050 Ti. And of the top 10 cards, we have the fastest card being the GTX 1060 or the GTX 2060, depending on, it might be a faster here and there, depending on the title. But by and large, in the benchmarks I've seen, the 1080 just edges out the 2060 usually. But you can kind of see where this is going, as the PS5 and Xbox both, depending on where it lands, is going to have a equivalency of about a RTX 2080, perhaps a 2080S, or even up to 2080 Ti type performance. Quite a bit higher than the average PC gamer here. The RAM is about the same at 16 gigabytes. But also another thing to highlight, we have 65% of gamers at 1080p, 20% of gamers below 1080p. So that's a total of 85% of gamers are at 1080p or below. So only 15% of folks, according to Steam, are gaming at, let's say, above 1080p, which doesn't necessarily mean you're hitting 1440p or 4K, but it could be an odd resolution higher. Of course, you have to take the Steam surveys with a grain of salt, as there's a lot of internet cafes in the world that could skew the numbers, one way or another. But, also keep in mind there's a lot of folks out there gaming on Intel graphics that are embedded into the CPU. So, in summary, we have the Xbox Series X and PS5 coming in with 4K gaming, 2080 to 2080 Ti level of performance. We have much upgraded processing units, versus the average PC gamer, most likely at about 1080p resolution. Of course, I'm not going to get into the argument that the PC is a kind of a Swiss Army knife that you can do all sorts of things with, send emails, do whatever. But just for the pure gaming perspective, the new consoles are going to be, coming in a bit higher than what you've got. Certainly a bit better than what I've been gaming on mostly. Ryzen 5 3600, 16 gigabytes of 3200 megahertz GDDR, or not G, just regular DDR4 RAM, and RX 5700 Red Devil AMD graphics card. Of course, it is flashed to 5700 XT, which gives you a little boost in performance, especially if you're wanting to run things at 1440p, which the system does pretty effortlessly. If I feel like dropping down to the 5700, I just flip the BIOS switch and I save about 50 watts or so of power, if not a little bit more. So it is kind of, it's in and around the same performance basically, but you're just overclocking the card a bit less and so forth. But I digress. So in summary, the consoles are looking good. Probably, a bit better than what we're gaming on now. Of course, the allure of consoles are cheap hardware, but they kind of get you locked in that ecosystem to where you have to buy the games, through Microsoft or through Sony, and that can be a bit more expensive depending on the games you like to play. But this isn't all-encompassing video. Just wanted to highlight how good the consoles are, pitting them against the PCs we're gaming on. And if you're lucky enough to be gaming on an i7 or i9, 8-core CPU, or a Ryzen, 3700X 2080 Ti system, I salute you. You are probably a bit better than what the consoles are going to be, but I'd probably say it's probably less than 1% of gamers out there. And thank you so much for watching another episode here at Cyberspace PC. This is Scott, and please take a moment to like, share, and especially subscribe if you want to keep it locked for more content like this. Have a good one, and we'll catch you in the next video.